Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so sorry this video is a day late. I have been so sick all week. I don't know if you can still hear it in my voice. I'm kind of getting over it, but I was finally a little bit feeling better today, so I thought we'd do a video. And today, Nick has agreed to be my guinea pig, and we're gonna do how to do a natural, easy men's makeup. Nick here is my boyfriend, if you've heard me talk about him in other videos. But a lot of guys have to wear some makeup for either work, if they're like Nick is in TV, or if you model, doing any sort of photo shoots, or even if you just want a little bit of makeup when you're going out if your skin isn't necessarily feeling as great as always. So this is a pretty easy process. We're going to get started here by just using some moisturizer on the skin, and a lot of guys are guilty of not wanting to use moisturizer. But I have here the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Cream Gel. So actually I'm going to have just Nick put a little bit on that himself on the skin. So just dab your finger in.
Inside the whole thing?
Yep, and then kind of spread that across the skin.
All over?
Yeah, and you can use both hands.
Okay.
So like I said, Nick has agreed to be my guinea pig because he typically wears just a little bit of makeup for when he is doing weather. Oh my goodness, see? My voice is still a little bit gone. But when he's in front of the green screen doing weather, more so than just out in front of out in the field. And you can see we put some paper towels on him so we don't mess up his shirt and tie here. I'm then going to go in with the Professional Primer. A lot of guys skip this step, but I find that it just helps the makeup go on a little bit easier. Here, actually, you can just turn it a little bit towards me. Okay, and then we're just going to blend that across the skin. And you can either wait a minute or two until that moisturizer dries, or you can really start going right in with that. Okay.
Smells really nice.
There you go.
I'll say that.
Okay, so once that is, and do you you want to go over with your hands? Do you feel like that's all blended?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now we are going to go in with foundation. Nick uses the Maybelline Dream Liquid Mousse. This is a little bit of a lighter formula. And so you typically use a sponge when you go in with
Yes, I do, and I have been using this since I started wearing makeup on TV.
And do you feel like it's like sheer enough, like it doesn't go on really heavy?
I think it's very light. It's really easy to take off. And Eclipse is on the table right now.
Oh my goodness.
There she goes.
Her cat is on the table.
Get down.
Eclipse, what are you doing? Oh my goodness, she just wanted to say hi.
Well, this is what happens when I sit up here at the table. She wants to sit up here.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Since I know for a lot of guys, like, you don't necessarily have all the crazy amount of brushes that your girlfriends may do. So why don't we use a beauty blender? These are really cheap and products, and they're easy to buy. So what I'm going to do is just pour a little bit of, pump a little bit of this onto my finger, and I'm just going to dot it along the face, and then we're going to blend it in.
And I've never done this step before where you just dot it on the face like this. I've usually just put it straight on the sponge itself.
Right, hold on one. So what I'm actually going to do is take a damp beauty blender and use that to blend the makeup in across the face. And really the biggest thing with this makeup look is you want it to look sheer and natural. So you obviously want to make the skin look more even, but you don't want it to look cakey or overdone at all. Just turn to me a little bit more. Really blend. And that's the nice thing about a beauty blender. Even if you wear makeup every day, and obviously guys, if you already wear full makeup, you definitely, can you put your lips like this? If you already wear full makeup, this is not the tutorial for you. This is just for guys who typically don't wear makeup, who need to, like I said, for work or whatever it is. I'm just going to put a little bit more across, especially on the cheeks. I think we just need a little bit more product there. And then blend that out. And again, the Beauty Blender is so great for this because it just makes it go on so sheer. Actually, I think I might give you this one.
Yeah, I might take that then.
Okay. And again, you can build the coverage if you think you need it in one place or another for a little bit more coverage. Sorry, I just keep dabbing it across your skin here.
Well, I noticed you hit the areas that I normally do because the cheeks and the forehead are obviously very prominent.
Okay. Let me see. Sorry. And you can even bring that a little bit down the neck just to make sure it's blended. And if you do have facial hair, like Nick obviously has to shave for work, but if you have like a full beard or really any stubble, just be really sheer through the beard to make sure it's blended through so that the hair, the little tiny bit of skin that shows underneath is still uniform with the rest of your skin on your face. Okay. So once we have that pretty well blended, we're just going to go in with a little bit of under eye concealer. Now you can definitely skip this step if you don't feel like you have any dark circles, but most of us by the time we hit our mid-20s already do. So one that's really easy to use is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser. And I've even used this in some of my tutorials. You just twist the bottom and it has like a spongy applicator already. So it's really easy to put on just underneath. This might even be a little bit light for you, but...
In my experience, I would go, if you think it is too even close to your skin, go a shade darker. It just does,
especially with the camera. So like if you're wearing, actually, can you look up? Just so I can, look. There you go, sorry. Just so I can get it really close underneath. And again, you could just use the damp beauty blender to go in and blend this. And so yeah, if you're going to be wearing this makeup under bright lights, like on TV or for a photo shoot, then you definitely, sorry, look up again, I know it's uncomfortable. Then you definitely want to go a slight shade darker. But if you're just going to be wearing it for like an everyday look, the other thing before I forget, because I don't think I'm going to use this later, is instead of a liquid foundation, if you want something super sheer and natural, the Bare Minerals foundations, they go on so sheer and it really will look like you're not wearing anything at all. That's probably the most ideal if you're maybe just say like going out for the night and just want a little bit of coverage. And let's see how that looks. I'm going to actually put a teensy bit more just right underneath. And again, this is the good thing with this is you can build, so just put a little bit on and then you can add as you go.
Now, for those who don't know, what does sheer mean?
Okay, so sheer means you don't want it like really heavy. Like for example, like a thick foundation is going to make it look like almost like a mask, which like sometimes girls' makeups can look like, which a lot of times is what a girl is going for is a really full coverage look. But for guys, you want it to look like you can still see the skin underneath. Okay. Also, another foundation, if you don't want to just pick up like a drugstore one, I've heard MAC's Face and Body, because you can use it for your face and body. It's a little bit more sheer and works well for guys as well. Okay, so once we've done those cream products, that's when you want to go in with a powder. So you want to do your cream products together and your powder products together, because if you put a powder on and then try to go back in with a cream, that's not going to work. So we have just here e.l.f., which is great for guys who don't usually wear makeup because the products are really cheap and easy to use.
Like $1 cheap.
Exactly. So it's definitely easy if you don't necessarily want to go out and spend a ton of money. We have here, this is in light beige. This is not necessarily a powder foundation, but just has a little bit of color in it. And Nick has here the e.l.f. powder brush. I guess we will just use this one since this one's pretty easy. Yeah, we'll use this one.
Yeah, that one works.
And this is almost like a kabuki brush, where it's larger, and it's just easy to disperse across the skin. So you just kind of want to pat that in until you get some product on the brush, and then start blending it across the face. And you can use a translucent powder if you don't want to use a foundation powder. This just basically makes sure that the product's going to stay in place for as long as you need it, and it's going to kind of just give a nice matte finish so that you're not all shiny, unless you're going for a shiny look. And guys, too, you can just put a little tiny bit on if you close your eyelids across the eyelids too, just to make sure they're not shiny. Okay, actually, turn me a little bit more, sorry.
Yeah, shine is the enemy in TV.
Okay. And again, if you have a full beard, make sure you're being really a very light hand with the beard area, because otherwise it will look very cakey, and it'll get all caught in your beard hair. But thankfully, like I said, Nick is clean shaven. Okay, so the last two steps, pretty simple, or three steps really, is I'm gonna just take a little bit of bronzer here. I have the NYX Color Wheel Mosaic face powder. Really any bronzer will do. And I'm going to take let me just wipe this off really quick. I'm going to take my Sephora, oh, is she back there now? Oh my goodness, that's so bad. She's okay. She just wants to hang out with us. So you would not put the bronzer in the places that girls normally, or guys normally contour. You're going to put it on the places where the sun would hit your skin, where you're usually the most tan. So we're just going to put a little bit across the forehead. And again, a very light hand. You can always build more if you feel like you need a little bit more. Okay, down the nose. Okay, and then on the tops of the cheekbones, and you can almost even do it where you smile and you kind of hit the top areas here, but you can relax again. And so just kind of along the tops of the cheekbone, almost where you would normally highlight. just to get a little bit of color back in the skin, because, you know, once we put that foundation on, basically you make your whole face one color, and really in the real life, your face is never all just one color. So this just adds a little bit of dimension back in and color back into the skin. Okay. All right, and actually just look all the way towards me for a second so I can see if everything's blended. And again, a light hand, because you could always go back in and add more, but you can not really go back in and take away unless you start all over. Okay. You could even just put a little bit on the chin. Okay. So, look towards the camera. You can see that you have like a little bit more color on the skin now. Everything is pretty much one color except for where we've bronzed, which is where we want it. Okay, then an easy one is any clear brow gel it will do, but I have here the e.l.f. Clear Brow and Lash, and we're gonna go in. Let me see if it says it does specify a brow side and a lash side. So we're gonna just first go with the brows. And Nick has amazing brows. He doesn't even have to tweeze or anything, and they look so good. But for some guys, if they're a little bit unruly, you might need to go in and brush the hairs up and just trim across the top or clean up the middle. You know, you definitely can keep them a little bit disheveled looking and kind of, you know, the stereotypical manly look. They don't need to be perfectly groomed or they start looking a little bit feminine. But just this will kind of keep them in place so they don't get a little crazy throughout the day. And again, if you have, you know, a little bit underneath, you can definitely keep that. I wouldn't necessarily go crazy with the grooming unless you have, you know, a lot on top or on the bottom here. But Nick is very lucky with his brows. I think if I let mine grow out, they'd be worse. Okay, and then on this side, just gonna turn. Okay. And again, this really will just kind of keep them from moving. Okay, so that is that. If you want to go in with, if you especially have lighter hair, and you want to go in with a little bit of the clear eyelash, you can. Am I going to scare you too much if I do that?
No, go for it.
Okay, all right, we'll do it just a little bit, so I don't want to freak him out.
I don't really get bothered with stuff around my eyes.
No, he wears contacts, so he's pretty good about that. If you actually just want to, if you want to just keep them like till they're almost closed. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle them up a little bit. It's so funny because he, you know, will sometimes watch me if I'm getting ready and he's like, come on, we gotta go. And so it's fun now to do it on him. Now we'll have to do, I know a lot of the girls out there have done the boyfriend does my makeup. Maybe we'll have to do that now that he's agreed to let me do his makeup.
See, I would try to make it look really good though.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, let's see how that looks. Oh, you have such nice eyelashes. Wait, hold on, let me see on this side again. Okay. I really like it. Oh my goodness. I'm still losing my voice. I really like it. Ooh, we lost. That's all right. We lost our paper towels here, but we're actually all done with them. We're not going to put any other products on the face unless you feel like something is not fully blended, but I think everything is. Let me just take a look again. But I think everything looks like it's blended in, everything's covered. Again, this is pretty natural. I mean, definitely if you get up really close, you can see that there's some product, but really you can't even tell he's wearing anything. The last thing, I'm just gonna have him put a little bit of Burt's Bees chapstick on, any sort of lip balm. If you use anything really tinted or anything really shiny, again, it's gonna look very feminine, but if you just put like a sheer balm on and let it soak in, it will be fine. But really any sponge will do for the foundation and the concealer. You can definitely go in with your typical, like I always use the flat foundation brush and flat concealer brush. However, those tend to be a really perfect and full coverage because of the way they put the product on your skin. So the sponge is a lot of times easier because it does go on really nice and sheer. And again, this is something if you work in TV, you're a reporter, anchor, a meteorologist like Nick is, or if you're doing a photo shoot, this is really great, as well as if you're headed out, your skin isn't necessarily feeling like it's quite yourself. Either you're breaking out or you just feel like your skin's not quite looking as bright as usual. This will definitely add a lot to it. So I hope this was natural. Again, this was kind of more of a natural men's look. If you're a guy and already wear full makeup, you stick with what you're doing. This is just for guys that typically don't wear makeup who kind of need a little bit of a tutorial. So hope this was helpful, and thanks so much for joining.